Karkadosh Boker Or, Masechet Zevachim Daf Yomi Daf Membet Amud Aleph 42a1. We're just going to start on 41b on the bottom, where it says Meteve. We're going to ask a question. Okay, so 41b on the bottom. Memalef Amubet Lemata Ad Lemata. We just said that as Shakish was explaining Rabbi that he holds that you cannot do pigul on Chetzi Amatir. Because Kol HaOseh Al Dat Rishona Oseh. You remember we said Chetzi Amatir means that in order for you to have pigul, you need it that it's something that's going to permit completely the food. If it's not going to completely permit the food, and it's only a chetzi, a half of a permitting, so it does not affect it. Now, according to that Rabbi Meir, whenever you do something, you do it al dat rishona. Dat rishona means you do it on the first dot of what you did. So it means basically it's like a copy paste. Whatever you started off with, that's your path. So you started right, it's going to be on the right path. You started with the left foot, it continues, you start a little deviation, boom, everything goes off straight. So, Meitvei, we're going to ask a question now on Resh Lakish from a Braita. But when do we say that Chutz Mano is going to make pigul, only on something which is going to be placed on the blood on the outside. Remember that there is going to be the outer Mizbeach and the inner Mizbeach. Mizbeach HaPnimi, Mizbeach HaChitzoni. What are other names for Mizbeach HaPnimi? Ketoret, Zahav. Very good. Mizbach HaKetoret, Mizbach HaZahav, Mizbach HaPnimi. Right? And the outer one is Mizbach HaChitzon, Mizbach Nechoshet. Right? And I forgot there's another one. Mizbach HaOlah. Yeah? Okay. So Bemed, when one of these words, Bedamim Anitanim al Mizbach HaChitzon. Okay? This is going to be something which is going to be on the outer Mizbeach. He says, Aval. Now we're starting on 42a on the top. Aval. Aval. Damim anitarim al mizbeach hapnimi. But when you're going to come and you're going to have the blood which is going to be on the mizbeach hapnimi, kegon, for example, 43 shel Yom Kippurim. The 43 sprinklings of Yom HaKippurim. Right? You remember that we said that the Yom Kippurim, you're going to have 16 Keneged Aaron, 16 Keneged Parochet, which is 32, and then they mix them both together, and then you're going to have the 4 Matanot and the 4 Karanot, and then another 7 on Gaga Mizbeach. So it's going to be 11. So you have 32 plus 11. Okay? So basically is what he's trying to say, that you're going to have 7 Hazal Klape Mata. So he comes and he says, so therefore if they're going to do that, he says over here like this, he says you're going to have 16. Was it Sheva Zaut Klape Mata, Achal Lamala V'Sheva Lamata, right? It's going to be 8, right? So he comes and he says like this. So you're going to have 16. 16 by the Aron, 16 by the Parochet, right? And 16 is 32. And then you have another 11 because they mix the two bloods together of the Pat and the Said, right? Of the bull and the he-goat. And then they come and they do it again. So therefore you're going to have Arba and then you're going to have another 7. So Arba with 7 is again another 11. So he comes and he says now like this. The 43 that you're going to have Yom Kippur, the Achadasar or the 11 of Par Kohen HaMashiach, right? The Achadasar of Par Elim Davar Shetzibur, Im Pigel, if you made it Pigul, Ben Barishona with Shtiyah v'Shlishit, whether it's the first time around, second time or third time, the Bimin Omer, it's going to be Pigul, you're going to be Chayv Alam Karet. Chachamim Omrim, Em Bo Karet, Shifagel, B'chol Matir. Ktani Miha, however, though we just learned here, that Pigel, whether it's Barishona, Shtiyah, or Shlishit, Upalig, and Rabbi Meir is arguing, right, in all the cases. So it comes out that there's going to be pigul even in the second and the third one, not only the first one. So first of all, it comes out that there is pigul in Chetzi Amatir, and not like Resh Lakish. One more time. According to Resh Lakish, we wanted to say that there's no Chetzi pigul. Sorry, there's no pigul b'Chetzi Amatir. Chetzi Amatir means that, for example, in order for you to be matir this korban, you needed to do 3 sprinklings. So if I only sprinkle 1 out of the 3, that's Chetzi Amatir. 2 out of the 3, it's still Chetzi Amatir. It doesn't permit it until you do 3 of 3. So when you do 3 of 3, now it permits it. So if I messed up on one of them, I don't make pigul. Here, it's a Braita Mefurashet. It says you do make pigul, whether it's on the first one, second one, or third one. So it's not like Resh Lakish. That means you do make pigul even on Chetzi Amatir. So answers the Gemara, Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Avina Chama Eskir, what are we dealing with? Kegon shepigel b'shchita, techad matirim. We're talking about you didn't do the pigul and the sprinklings of the blood. Pigul is basically when you have the wrong mindset that you're going to offer the sacrifice or do something in the sacrifice outside of the proper time. So, for example, let's say they've got like a, how do you call this? A time frame to do the sacrifice. And I come in and say, you know what? I'm going to eat the sacrifice in 2 days. I'm not allowed to. But if I did something now, whether it's the shchita, the receiving of the blood, right, the sprinkling of the blood, with that mindset, it's a problem. So that's called pigul. So here what he's saying is that by the sprinkling of the blood, it does exist the concept of 1, 2, and 3, because there's 3 different steps. Shchita, it's only 1 step. So therefore, what he says is he's talking about that you made the pigul during the shchita time. So since you did the pigul during the shchita time, the shchita is only 1 matir. It's not that there's a few different matirim, meaning once you did shchita, kaddish, that's it, you're done. Okay? So ask the Gemara, Yehachi, if so, my time Rabbanan. So what's the reasoning of the Rabbanan though? Why do they say that it's not pigul? Samar Rava says, Man Chachamim, who's the rabbis? Rabbi Eliezer here, it's Rabbi Eliezer. The Tramas we learned in the Mishnah, Komets, Valevona, Vaktoret, Mincha Kohanim, Mincha Kohen Mashiach, Mincha Nesachim. Whether we're talking about the komets. Komets is a kmitza, right? You come and you take with your hand, the fistful. Right? Levona, the frankincense. The ketoret, everyone knows what ketoret is. Minchat kohanim, minchat kohen mashiach, minchat nesachim, whether it's a minchat kohen, minchat kohen mashiach, or minchat nesachim. In all these cases, you have the menachot, which are the flower offerings. Sheikriv me'acham en kezait bechutz. That you took 1 kezait outside. Now, we know that all the korbanot have been done inside the azara, inside the walls of the Bet HaMikdash. Here, somebody took it outside. So he's going to be chayav, even though he took 1 kezait out. 1 small amount. He's already chayav. Rabbi Eliezer poter ad sheyakriv et kulam. Rabbi Eliezer says you're going to be patur until you bring everything, all the entire korban outside. So that means you see from here that this shitav chachamim is Rabbi Eliezer, that according to shitat Rabbi Eliezer, until you don't bring the entire korban outside, you're not chayav. Okay? So Ve'amar Rava comes and he says, Umodeh Rabbi Eliezer, and Rabbi Eliezer is going to be modeh bedamim, to do with different bloods. The Tzram, as we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon say, Mimakom shepasak, mishamu matchil. Let's say right now, right, you have one person doing the blood. Wherever he finished sprinkling the blood, the next person can continue. So it comes out that each haza'ah, right, that each sprinkling is considered on its own, right? Each sprinkling is on its own. We're on the bottom of Membet Amud Aleph, 42a. Yeah, for those that just joined. So he says, Elamar Rava, but rather Rava says, Kegon shepigel barishona v'shatak b'shniya v'chazar upigel b'shlishit. What are we talking about? He wants to say that really be'emet, there was a pigul in the first one, but he kept quiet in the second one. And then again, he made pigul in the third one. So according to Rabbi Meir, he holds that the second one was done al dat rishona, and therefore becomes pigul gamur. So one more time. Pigul, quiet. I don't know what you want to call it. Parve. I don't know what you want to call it. Parve, right? Which means blidat. Some shatak. And then pigul. You had 3 sprinklings. The first one, you made pigul. That's already strike 1. The second one, you were parve. You didn't say anything. The third one was strike 3 or strike 2. Depends. But here, Rabbi Meir is saying it's considered strike 3. He says, why? Because since the second one was parve, but you're doing it al data rishona. What was your first mindset? Pigul. So it continues. That means even though now you kept quiet, doesn't matter. You're still having the same intention. That's what you're doing. So Mao the Tema, I would have thought to say, if you're going to say al dat rishona meder pigle b'shlishit lamli, so why do you need the pigul in the third one then? According to Shitat Rabbi Meir, right? 1 second. You have the first one, which was pigul. The second one, you kept quiet. So if the second one, you kept quiet, so for what do you need anything else anymore then? So he comes and he says, right, why do you need it? So Mao the Tema, I would have thought to say, if you're going to think, al dat rishona me'ader pigule b'shlishit lamli, why do you need it? Kamash Malan comes to teach you that even in such a case, according to Shitat Rabbi Meir, anybody that's doing it al dat rishona will say, and therefore there was already machshevet pigul in everything. The first one and third one was she did the pigul, and the second one, even though you kept quiet, the fact that you go after the first one, so the entire thing was pigul. Meaning, if I'm going to ask you, was there pigul done? You're not going to tell me yes only in the first and third. You're going to tell me yes in the entire thing. First, second, and third.
Third one was without.
So now he says like this. Mat kifla Ravashi. Ravashi comes and he asks the following question. Midi shatak katani. Does it say that he was shatak? Doesn't say he was shatak. It's mashma that he was pogel in all three of them. Not that he kept quiet. Where does it say anywhere that he kept quiet? Elamar Ravashi, but rather Ravashi says, what are we doing? We're going to pigel barishona v'shnia v'shlishit. You did pigul in all three. So obviously, what's the chidush? If you did pigul in 1, 2, and 3, obviously. So he says, I would have thought, say, if you were going to say, Kol ha'osel dad rishona will say, pigul b'chol chad v'chad adam. So why do you need it then? Meaning, according to you, if you did pigul in number 1, that's it. I don't need anything else. So why do I need a pigul in number 2, 3? So Kamash one comes to teach you that even in that case, Kol ha'osel dad rishona will say, still there was a machshevet pigul in all the matir. And that's why it's coming to say that this is the chidush actually, that in each one. Okay, fine. Membeta mubet. So says the Gemara, veha 42b. So he says veha ben ktani. Says yeah, but when it says between one another, it's much better that each one you had it. So Kasha, you're right. It's a very good question, but it doesn't make sense really. Meaning that if according to him all you need pigul is the first one, the first strike is you're out. You don't need pigul and anything else, but that's it. You do it according to the first one. That's it. So that's why it's a good question. You're right. There's no real answer to that. Okay, fine. Amar Mor. Mor says, Rabbi Meir Omer. Rabbi Meir says, Pigul v'chayvim alav karet. When we have the concept of pigul, it's going to be pigul and you're going to be chayav karet. Michti, let us see. Karet lo mechayev ad shikrevu kol matirav. He says karet is not going to be chayav until you bring all the matir. The Amar Mor Bazmor says, Karzaat kasher, ka karzaat pasul. The way there's going to be a korban kasher, so too is korban pasul. Ma הרצאת כשר עד שיקבעו כל מתיריו, אף הרצאת פסול עד שיקבעו כל מתיריו. כיוון דחשי בפנים פסולה, כמאן דלא עדי דמי, כעדי מדי, right? מדי, מאיה בעלמא הוא דקמדה. He comes and he says like this. He says, I don't understand. He says, when you come and you bring a kosher korban, you have to do all the 4 avodot in order to eat it, correct? You have to shchita, right? The slaughtering, the receiving of the blood, the holacha, the transporting the blood, and the zrikat adam, you sprinkle the blood. When you do all 4, right, now you're going to come, right, and you're going to be permitted to eat it. Afartzat pasul. So simalacha will apply to pigul. Yikrevu kol matirav, which means all you do, all the all the matirim. Now, if right now you came and you thought of pigul, and it becomes pasul, is kimandelo adidami. So it's keilu, right, that you didn't come and you didn't sprinkle the blood. So therefore, when you're going to come and you're going to sprinkle the blood again, the second and third time around, you're just putting water there. You're not doing anything else. Meaning, if it already became disqualified, right? So that's it. You're just sprinkling water on the mizbeach, right? Because at the end of the day, there's nothing here. It's because the first one, not karet, but the rest of all the blood is all water. It's nothing. So therefore, how could it be that now you're going to come and tell me it all depends on what you're doing later on? Later on, you're doing nothing because it's all water. Because once you went and you did something wrong in the beginning, you messed up all the rest. So Amar Rabba says, Mashkach alab be'arba parim ve'arba seirim. We're talking about the blood of 4 different pars and 4 seirims. What does that mean? He says that's the first answer, right? So here it says, that he says that they brought another par. So therefore, it was like 4 different animals. Okay, it was 4 different animals. That's what you did. So basically, according to Shtat Rabbi Meir, and machshava pigul matonot rishonot oseh pigul, because you didn't finish the zrikat of the dam of that animal. Because basically you never finished it, because whatever you're sprinkling afterwards is just water. So you never finished it. Okay, but if it's 4 different pars, you have a problem. Rava comes and he wants to give another answer. Which means that it's going to be considered, right, for the pigul, it is going to be miratzeh. So therefore, it's that even though you started the avodah with the pigul, it's still considered avodat adam for that torat pigul, right? That means even though it's not good, and you started on the wrong foot, but for that korban, it continues. So says the Gemara, 43, Vatanya 47. How many sprinklings do you do? Yeah, how many sprinklings do you do on Kippur? 43? Says here you should do 47. Why? Right? We're going to see now. He says, Hakamand Amar Marvin Kranot, Hakamand Amar Marvin Kranot. It all depends whether it's that we're considered that do we mix up the blood of the Parve Sa'ir for the Matanot of the Kranot or not? Yeah? So he says, what does that mean? The Gemara is going to say that there's a machloket to do with the Kranot of the Mizbeach, the corners of the Mizbeach. It says, "Velakach midam apar midam asaviv natan konot mizbeach saviv." So according to one dea, it means that the Kohen comes, takes the dam apar v'asaid, he mixes them together, and then after the azaut, keneged the parochet, he mixes them together and he puts them on the karnot mizbeach. According to the second shita, right, yishenoten mikol dam bifnei atzmo, and then only afterwards do you do it on gam mizbeach. So according to that, you're going to have 43, which is going to be again 16 in the Kodesh Kodashim, 16 in the parochet, 11 on the mizbeach hazahav. And the other Braita that's arguing is going to say that there's going to be an extra 4. Okay, so 4 plus 43 is going to be 47. Yes, if you don't mix them. So you're going to have 47, and then you're going to mix them and then put it. So he comes and he says, Vatanya 48. There's one Damandama that even says 48. How do you get 48 now? So he says, Hakiman de Amar, this is according to the Mandamar, that he says Shiraim is Makvin, the kapara. And therefore, Hakiman Amar and Shiraim Makvin kapara. Meaning, right, we already brought down that used to pour the leftover blood in the Yisod. So if you tell me that it's Me'akev the kapara, so that's an extra 1. You have to come and you count this one, that you pour it down in the Yisod. And if not, then you don't count it. Okay? So that's how you get 48. So, Meitvei, we're going to ask the following question. What are these words that you say that what that a pigul is going to be in a machshava only during the time of the avodat kometz b'kmitza, b'matan kli uveiluch, right? Whether it's going to mean kimitza, matan kli, that's putting the kometz in a kli sharet or taking it to the mizbeach. Avabalo laktara, but when you're going to come and bring it as a sacrifice, natan et kometz b'machshava ve'et levona b'shtika, or shnatan kometz b'shtika b'machshava. Rabbi Meir says it's going to be pigul. You're going to be chayav karet. Rabbi Chachamim omrim. There's no pigula. Yifagel b'chol matir. Ktani mihad. But we did learn et a kometz b'shtika v'telovana machshava upali, and he's arguing. So it comes out that Rabbi Meir is arguing Chachamim even in such a case, and he says that it's going to be pigul. So it comes out that there's going to be pigul even on the second part of the korban. So it comes out that Rabbi Meir holds mepaglim b'chetzi matir. Not like what we said before. That means there does exist a concept of pigul even on chetzi matir. Chetzi matir means even if part of it, it's going to be matir. So answers the Gemara, Eima kvar natan et levona b'machshava. You already placed the levona b'machshava. So says the Gemara, Chada de'ainu reisha ve'od. One said, but that's reisha. And second of all, it says ve'achar kach. Ve'achar kach is mashma that you're going to be chayav karet on everything. So he says, Kasha, it's actually a very, very good question. Okay?